My son, you do not remember me. I am Jor-El. I'm your father. By now you will have reached your 18th year, as it is measured on Earth. By that reckoning, I will have been dead for many thousands of your years. The knowledge that I have matters physical and historic. I have given you fully on your voyage to your new home. These are important matters, to be sure, but still matters of mere fact. There are questions to be asked, and it is time for you to do so. Here in this fortress of solitude, we shall try to find the answers together. So, my son, speak.
Who am I?
Your name is Kal-El. You are the only survivor of the planet Krypton. Even though you've been raised as a human being, you are not one of them. You have great powers, only some of which you have as yet discovered.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space. In the sixth dimension, your powers will far exceed those of mortal men. It is forbidden for you to interfere with human history. Rather let your leadership stir others too. In this next year, we shall examine the human heart. It is more fragile than your own. For the past 2 years, as we pass through the flaming turmoil which is the edge of your own galaxy, we will enter the realm of the red Krypton sun, source of your strength and nourishment and cause of our eventual destruction. The planet Krypton, my son, your home, as it was. This year, we shall examine the various concepts of immortality and their basis in actual fact. The total accumulation of all knowledge spanning the 28 known galaxies is embedded in the crystals which I have sent along with you. Study them well, my son. Over the past 12 years, we have reasoned out logical judgments. By the time we return to the confines of your galaxy, 12 of your years will have passed. For this reason, among others, I have chosen Earth for you. It is now time for you to rejoin your new world and to serve its collective humanity. Live as one of them, Kal-El. To discover where your strength and your power are needed. To always hold in your heart the pride of your special heritage. They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way. For this reason, above all, their capacity for good, I have sent them you, my only son.
When I was younger, my father used to tell me after I draw something, he would watch me and he would say, "I like what you're doing." Why? He would say that all great artists would take a step back and observe their artwork after finishing. That way you can tell if you have a masterpiece or if you have a flawed creation. And then you can look at the masterpiece and then kind of, admire your own work. Or you can critique your own work and see the error in your ways and maybe correct it the next time. So it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And you always want to turn a negative into a positive. Now, everybody goes through things in life that changes them. But I feel as though this is the time for everybody to get their shit together and hold their self accountable. I would say, look at the man in the mirror, but at this point in time, it's more like, what kind of light are you reflecting in the mirror? What do you see in the mirror, man, woman, whatever? It's all about the light, the windows to the soul. When you sun gaze, you'll actually see the flower of life. You'll actually see a ring go around the sun. You'll actually see rings that kind of feels like a vibration. It's an experience. The same way someone can tell you about sex, it's not the same until you experience sex. At the same time, you can experience sex and let's say you can kind of pervert anything pure. Too much of anything can make you an addict. So, if too much of anything can make you an addict, an actual addict of that thing, you always want to have a balance in what you're doing. So, it's all about experience. I say all that to say, there was a time in my life when I felt lost and I received direction. What happened was, I went down a slippery slope of bullshit after my father had passed away, not knowing what to do and how to react. And I came into contact with a man who gave me a DVD. On that DVD, it was The Secret. And I was listening to the lady who refers to herself as Abraham Hicks, Esther. The name resonated with me. Feeling process. And I started to question certain things. The sheep will never see what the shepherd knows. Ezekiel never knew.
Show yourself, coward! Son of a coward! I'm here, Zod. Let Miss Lane go and step inside. We'll talk.
No, don't, Superman. Please don't listen to him. He's just... Stop.
Your powers are identical to mine, but we are three. We could tear you limb from limb.
Do it, Your Grace. Just grab a leg and just make a wish.
But you are victim to another fatal weakness. Your compassion. The death of others means more to you than your own. Your father condemned us to an eternal living death. Your fate will be the same. You will live, Kal-El, forever, as my slave. If not, then others will pay for your obstinate attitude. Innocent people, millions if necessary, beginning with this lowest person.
Don't, Superman, don't!
Stop it! Silence!
Don't go in there, General. It's a trap.
Luthor, you poisonous snake!
That's a molecule chamber. It makes people like you into people like me.
You've done well, Lex Luthor.
I thought so.
Seize him.
Kill her.
No, Superman, no!
All right, leave her alone, Zod! You win.
General, the crystal there activates the mechanism.
Lex Luthor, ruler of Australia. Activate the machine.
With your permission?
Now, finally, kneel. Take my hand and swear eternal loyalty to Zod.
Switched it. He did it to them. Lights were on out here while he was safe in there.
Hey, you know something? You're a real pain in the neck.
You know, I was reading the Bible, but yet, you know, I understood certain things in the Bible, but yet certain things wasn't clear. It didn't make sense. It's like, you know, walking on water, turning water into wine, immaculate birth, you know. So, but I thought I knew what I needed to know, or I got beside myself, and I felt as though I didn't need anyone. So I went and got a second job, and I started delivering papers overnight. It just so happens that not too soon, or not too long after that, you know, there was a freezing ice storm in Atlanta. And being from Chicago, you know, I'm kind of arrogant when it came to that type of thing. You know, it's like we drive in the snow all the time. That's nothing. So what happened was I went out delivering papers in the freezing ice rain, and that actually, you know, wiped out on the Langford Highway or the Langford Parkway ramp 166. Spent out of control. And what happened at that point is, I want to say I hit the wall. You know, the airbag knocked me out. But at that point, I want to say it was like maybe divine intervention or something to that nature. So at the point where the airbag popped me in the face, immediately it was blackness, and from the blackness, what I seen was what to look like an X-ray type of vision. I didn't know what I was looking at, but at the time, but it just seems like I was looking at some type of X-ray. You know how you see an X-ray of your body or your mouth or your head or things of that nature. That's the kind of vision that I was seeing. But I seen the teeth, so it kind of reminded me of like a dental X-ray type of thing. Weird as hell. But after that, immediately after that, it was a light, and I seen the light, but as I was looking at the light, I was going up through the light, and as I traveled up through the light, soul food.
Father? If you can hear me, I failed. I failed you. I failed myself. And all humanity. I've traded my birthright for a life of submission in a world that's now ruled by your enemies. There's nobody left to help them now. People of the world. Not since I... Father!
Listen carefully, my son, for we shall never speak again. If you hear me now, then you have made use of the only means left to you, the crystal source through which our communication was begun. The circle is now complete. You have made a dreadful mistake, Kal-El. You did this of your own free will, in spite of all I could say to dissuade you. Now you have returned to me for one last chance to redeem yourself. This too. Finally, I have anticipated my son. Look at me, Kal-El. Once before, when you were small, I died while giving you a chance for life. And now, even though it will exhaust the final energy left within me...
Father, no.
Look at me, Kal-El. The Kryptonian prophecy will be at last fulfilled. The son becomes the father becomes the son. Farewell forever, Kal-El. Remember me, my son.
Disappeared, like I turned into the white. The light was white, and it's like I turned white into the light, and it's hard to explain, but the next thing I know, it was like I popped up on a cloud on a different plane, and it was though I was floating at an uncontrollable rate, which is weird because I hear people saying how when you die, you can direct yourself to where you need to go. And I find that very hard to believe. I was being pulled to a certain point like a magnet with no control over my body, because at that point, I didn't have a body. So it's hard to explain. But what I seen was a gate And what I seen was something that seems like a White Castle. This had to be maybe my perception of what things could be. But there was a gate, and the gate was open until I got closer to the gate. It was jet black, dark, completely dark within the gate, even though there was a white gate and it looked like a White Castle inside. It's hard to explain. The closer I got, I could kind of feel like a force. But as I got closer, there was a feeling of unknowing. And at that point, I heard a deep voice which said, "Not yet." And immediately the gates closed, slammed. It was like a drawbridge lit up, and then I was like pushed like by wind of some sort along the gate. While going alongside the gate, like a piece of wind, I spotted a tree. It was a white tree. It was actually a tree with like white leaves. It's hard to explain, but I want to say the tree was white. The bark of the tree was kind of dark, but it wasn't completely white. Now there was a man sitting underneath the tree, which intrigued me, but he was reading a book. And as I seen that man, he pulled his head up and seen me, and what I seen was my father. And when we locked eyes, that's when I woke up. And I was back in my car. The car was completely wrecked. I was slumped over the wheel as though I had no life in me. I'm not sure how long I was out, but I know I was listening to one song when I went out, and it was on a completely another song when I woke up, and the song was going off as I was kind of waking up, so to speak. The car was completely fucked up. I got out the car, and I checked myself, and I had a little blood on my face and whatnot. I'm not gonna go into too many details, but an ambulance came and picked me up. I ended up in Grady Hospital. I ended up checking myself out of the hospital because there was a long line there was a room full of people on the gurneys, which really made me feel some kind of way. I called my brother and he came and picked me up. They made me sign a consent form that said that I was signing myself out and they had no liability over me. And it said that I had a mild concussion. So I have one interpretation of that experience, which led me to where I am now. So there's a spiritual interpretation of that story, and there's also a physical interpretation of that story. Because for me, I totally understand at this point. But for someone else to try to understand that experience, it would be hard to explain. It would be hard for you to see. It would be hard for you to feel. It wouldn't feel the same. So it may touch you in a certain kind of way, but I wouldn't tell this story to necessarily teach someone something as much as I would tell the story for someone to learn from the experience. So the sheep will never see what the shepherd knows. Easy kill, ever go. So I say all this to say that regardless of whatever's going on in your life, when God calls, you should pick up the phone.
So, why you pick this class anyway? It's pretty hard. Oh, beautiful view. All right.
All right. All right. Y'all shut up now. Last week, we talked about the physiology of the animal brain as it pertains to aggression. Now, is there anyone here that can tell me why most alligators are abnormally aggressive?
I know the answer to this question. Raise your hand.
Anybody? Anyone? Yes or you, sir?
Mama said that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Your mama said alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. Wow. Anybody else? Yes or you, sir?
Alligators are aggressive because of an enlarged medulla oblongata. It's the sector of the brain which controls aggressive behavior.
That is correct. The medulla oblongata.
But Mama
The
said...
medulla oblongata is where anger, jealousy, and aggression come from. Is there anybody here who can tell me where happiness comes from? Anyone? All right. Let's hear what Mama has to say on the subject.
Mama say that happiness is from magic rays of sunshine that come down when you're feeling blue.
Well, folks, Mama's wrong again.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong. Mama's right.
All wrong. Mama's right. Mama's right. Something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
It's okay to fight back. Coach Klein said I could. Mr. Coach Klein said I could.